Julius. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am excited to be here with you again on Ink to Ink, Incarceration to Incorporation. We are here every Friday night, and as always, we are here to change the narrative. We want to let the world know that things are different than what's being promoted out there in the media. We want people to know that recidivism isn't as high as they say it is, that everybody that returns from prison is going right back. That is not the case. And so that is why here at All Things Relevant Media, we change the narrative. I got some brothers that's going to be on with us this evening. They're going to share their stories, talking about a fresh start, a new beginning. And we are so grateful for AB having the brainchild to think of Ink to Ink. We're definitely excited and glad to have Julius Hall having a platform promoted for all returning citizens to share their story. So that's what we're doing. Our co-host, Marie, she's not going to be with us today, but I know that she's watching, giving us the thumbs up. So without further ado, changing the narrative, making a story the way it is supposed to be. Ben, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, brother? I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Now, I don't want you to be nervous because I know you can talk, and this is your opportunity to talk. We got my boy Nod. He'll be joining us momentarily as we deal with these technical difficulties. But
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Then?
Yes. I can hear you all.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great, brother. Good to see you, man.
Man, good to see you too. What's up, Miko? How you doing, bro?
All right. What up? What up? Shanard, I'm glad to have you. Matter of fact, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to let you brothers introduce yourself. So first of all, I want you, Ben, you start. Tell us who you are and what is your relationship or association to incarceration.
Okay, first of all, my name is Benton Huntley, and I was incarcerated So I deal with this situation firsthand. So I'm a person who is connected to the system by also serving time in it as well.
Okay, Shanard,
I'm
I'm gonna get you. You gonna listen. Look, by the time we get riding, brother, you're gonna be talking good talk. So just calm
okay.
down, take your little shoulders. Shanard, tell us who you are
Yeah.
and what's your relationship to incarceration.
My name is Shanard Linsey. I'm a 47-year-old young man. My relationship,
Okay.
I thank God for my age, for my health, for the years of experiences that I would like to say that has come along with wisdom. At 47 years old, I have a unique situation in being able. I don't believe in being able to start over, but you can certainly start from where you're from. And I'm starting from after doing 310 months in the Georgia penal system. I like to say that I was a part of that corporation for a very long time, a part of that company for a very long time. I didn't get a 401k at all.
That's right.
I,
That's right.
I wasn't afforded the opportunity to invest in it. But here and given this opportunity to speak on this platform, it's a wonderful thing. I look forward to offering insight. So insight to those who are it may be foreign to them, and also to those who have experienced incarceration on some level, just from my perspective and my experience throughout the system.
Okay, so there we go. Now we getting ready to ride, gentlemen. You have
Mhm.
time, so I want you to really just begin to share what is ever on your heart. I would simply moderate and come in from time to time to let you know what some of our listeners are saying because we are live. We're on Facebook. We are also live on YouTube, and then we're also in some prisons in Jessup on the radio as well.
Mhm.
So I want you to get ready to just share. You have an audience. That audience is those that are on the inside, but also those that are on the outside. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions and you can just share. So my next question to you is tell us a little bit about your experience because I've always heard it said that I believe it was George Santayana, a famous American poet, who once said, "He who refuses to learn from history is forced to repeat its mistakes." So we're going to take a journey, if you will. Tell us a little bit about your time incarcerated. You can tell us how much time you did. We don't need to know what your offense was, but you can tell us a little bit about that journey as you begin to come out on the outside. So, Ben, you ready?
Yeah, actually I am.
Okay, let's ride.
Uh well, first and foremost, I went into the system in 1988. I had just turned 18 years old. Um, and at that time, most of the systems were called correctional institutes. There were only a few what you would consider state prisons or institutions like that that were active in Georgia. About the mid 90s, I seen the change in the system where they started making them every institution was a state prison. So it became from a correctional institute to a state prison. So it became aware to me that they were no longer focused on rehabilitating us or putting us in a position to rehabilitate ourselves. They was pretty much just focusing on just housing us, you know. And my experience it was different from a lot of people. 31 years was a very long time, and my main focus was when I come out of this situation, because I did feel there was never a time where God had led me to believe that I would never be out of that situation. I understood that it was a costly mistake that I made to put me in that situation. I know I hurt myself, I hurt a lot of people, I hurt my family. So I wanted to know I wanted to be able to look at myself in the mirror once I got past this situation. I wanted to be a better person. I didn't want to continue to be the same person I was. And, you know, when I came in, the system was very, very violent. People had to have a lot of respect for you in order for you to grow into the man, the person that you're supposed to become. You know, you can't just say, well, today I'm going to get up and I'm going to change my life and I'm finna have a spiritual calling on it and I'm fixing to do this and do that. Well, when I first came in the system, if you did that just right off of the bat, you come back from the dining hall, you don't have nothing in your box. So people had to respect who you were as a man when you start transitioning, changing, and growing up. So for me, the system had two sides. For me, it had a side that was going to help me better myself, and it had a side that would allow me to ask myself, am I really ready?
Okay.
If you're running around with the riffraff that's going on in the system, I knew I wasn't ready. So I had to run. I had to get away from the riffraff. I had to start pulling away. If I did put myself in a situation to where it seems I was going backwards, I knew I had to go ahead and get myself prepared to start running again and moving back forward to get where I wanted to get, which is here. And a lot of people think that once you get in that situation, that's the end. Once you serve that kind of time, that's the end. And it's really not. If you prepare yourself, now if you're in the system and you don't prepare yourself, you don't do nothing constructing, you don't give yourself anything to work with, then of course you know where you're going. And that's with any situation. Anybody who don't prepare themselves for doing anything in life or whatever, you're gonna have a dire situation that you're gonna face. Some's gonna be different than others. We know that. But when I started to change, I realized that I was also helping other people change. That made me feel better about myself, you know, and it made me want to continue to move forward myself and help other people. These are people I never even knew. You're talking about some of the hardest criminals that you grew up around, and you look back and you say, wow, I helped this person. You know, this person come forward and tell me, you know, that I really helped them. So that was a big change for me as well, especially in places like Alto, Valdosta. Really don't, you know, hear that much about that anymore. Reedsville, GSP, but people that think that you can't get out and make it, they're wrong. They're wrong. Now, if you get out and you want to jump into the streets and you don't want to be a grown man about it or a grown woman about it, then of course, you know, you may end up back in that situation. But if you know you want to do something with the rest of your life, when you get out of that situation, people don't make you come back to prison. You're the only person that could put you back in that situation. You know, like now, it's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be peaches and cream. Somebody's gonna give you a chance, some is not.
But wait a minute, before you go there, hold up before you go there, because I'm going to transition you into the outside. Marie, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Miko.
Good evening. How are you doing, Marie?
Fine. How you doing, Miko? How's
I'm
everyone
doing wonderful.
Doing?
You see, we got our guys on. We got Shanard Linsey and we got Benjamin Huntley on. Young men. This is
How you doing,
Marie Jones.
Hello.
So Marie gonna jump in from time to time and also share. But
Okay.
Shanard, same question. Tell us a little bit about your stint, if you will, and then you're getting ready to transition to the outside. And then I will bring you into that next question, which will be, was your transition to the outside a smooth one or a difficult one? And then tell us why. So give us a little bit of your history and work us on up to where you are.
Okay. All right. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for this opportunity. Glad that you can join us, Marie. Good to see you and meet you again.
Well, thank you.
Yes, I began this journey of my incarceration in January 13th, 1996. Came in as a young man, 20 years old, I didn't come in hopeless, although I was sentenced in the courtroom to a life sentence plus 20 years. I never in my life imagined that I would do 5 years. I never, so this is from before being sentenced until after being sentenced in the courtroom. I guess it's just the way that I'm wired. It's the faith that I had. I was on the run. So I'm gonna back up real quick. I was on the run and running from the authorities from the crime that I had committed, right? Just for clarity, what on the run means. And I knew that I had gotten myself in some trouble that money was not going to be able to get me out of. I did not have a relationship with God. And although I was on the run, I had just recently acquired a house. And so I felt like I was in a safe place. I wasn't concerned about the authorities come looking for me because nobody knew of the house, right? But in that safe place, with only a bed in this particular room that I was in and a television, without me having a relationship with God and the realization that my money wasn't going to be able to get me out of trouble, I can distinctly remember in this very moment crying out to a God that I didn't have a relationship with. Not crying, but praying. I don't know what I prayed, but I remember reaching beyond myself. I knew that I had gotten myself in some trouble that money wasn't going to get me out of, and it would have to be something bigger than myself. I knew that back then. And that whatever that was intuitively inside of me caused me to cry out. So I did come up around a praying mother, a praying grandmother. We wasn't a church going family. We didn't even play charades on Easter like many families did. We didn't even dress up on Easter and play that way. However, so in fast forward in my getting arrested and charged, going to trial, and even after being convicted, I had appeals. So I had an attorney. I had an attorney that I felt represented me well in court. And though I got convicted, I was still confident on appeals that I would get some relief, find some relief in post-conviction. And so that never happened. And years are going by. But as the years are going by, I spent every bit of my first 10 years in prison not doing no, I was, and so let me back. This is very key. This is very key for me and for our listening audience. I had never read a book in my life prior to being charged with this crime. I was in the hole. And I was in the hole. I read my very first book. And I had graduated high school and still had never read a book. I had graduated high school and never read a book. The very first book I read was a Marcus Garvey book. And it felt so good to be able to read or to have that sense of accomplishment. I then determined that all the books that I had done book reports on, because I had graduated high school, I got pieces of a book report from this girl, pieces from a book report from that girl, because we all had the same book report, right? And I would piece their book report to create my own, right? And so after reading that Marcus Garvey book, I began to think about all the books that I had read, had turned book reports in on, and I determined that I was going to read every book that I could remember turning a book report in on. And so fast forward, I want to say that because that's key. My first 10 years, I didn't believe in going to detail. Only thing it used to be a thing that was called road dog. So in Georgia, they would do inspections every day rather. And I would just go outside the dorm to walk around on the sidewalk to avoid inspection. When they would come in, I would exercise for 2 or 3 hours, and at some point I would read something. And that was what I did for every bit of the first 10 years of my incarceration. After, I would say at 10 years, I began to understand that I need to play the game. I need to put myself in position just in case, even though, you remember, I never would have imagined that I would have done 10 years, but it's looking like that I'm gonna do more time than I thought, right?
Right. Right.
And if that is the case, and if my release is predicated on the parole board's decision, I knew that I needed to put myself in position. I needed to start looking like I was being productive. So I was being productive. Remember, I was working out and I was reading. All of this was self-initiated. Ben mentioned something about how prison had deviated from rehabilitation. Well, see, even with rehabilitation, they can have the programs available to you, but everybody that's locked up don't take advantage of the program that's available to you back then or the ones that exist now. It's only those who have a drive to want to do better that will take advantage of it. And so I'm saying to you that I was being productive, but I was being productive in my own way. But I needed it to be documented, because if my release was predicated on the parole board making the decision, then they need to know what it is I'm doing. And so at about 10 years, I began to think, man, shoot, I might have to depend on these people to get me out of here. And so I began to make a change. I began to inquire about the details, and I began to do details. And I think as it relates to your question, that just about sums it up, unless it's something that you want to point out that you specifically want me to ask at this moment about the pre-part of or the early part of my incarceration.
No, you helped me, because I heard some words from both you and Ben: preparation, production, planning. So those are words that I heard that helped you to get to where you are now, and that tells us, which is, was your transition smooth or coming to society, or was it difficult? If it was smooth, tell us why. If it was difficult, tell us why. And Ben, you start. And remember, Marie, come in anytime you're ready.
Okay.
Well, some things were easy and some things were hard. I think the biggest thing for me, the hardest transition for me was what's going to happen next. You know, that was the hardest thing, you know, for me. What's going to happen next? I'm expecting all kind of things to jump out of nowhere, you know, because it's, you know, yeah, I was born out here, you know, but I did a substantial amount of time, and there I did more time in that environment than I had ever done out here, you know. So there were a whole bunch of things in my mind that I was expecting to happen that made the transition kind of hard for me. You kind of you automatically I automatically was telling myself, you know, and it took me a while to get away from that. But it's like everybody could see in my mind that I had just come out of incarceration. You know, it's like I see everybody that I look at that looks at me, in my mind, it's like they could see the uniform that I had been wearing for all this time. You know, and that made things kind of hard, because it made it difficult for me to just relay messages to people, to just really have a conversation, to communicate back and forth openly.
So
because
I'm sorry, so you were afraid? So you were more afraid?
I wasn't necessarily afraid. I was unaware of what could happen at any given time. And I wasn't familiar with the natural flow of things. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, for instance, it's like, just because if I'm riding down the street, I'm automatically I'm fixing to get pulled over. Just because I'm riding down the street. If I go and apply for this job, I automatically feel like I'm fixing to get turned down for it, you know. And it was hard to get used to people not being as friendly. Now, when I was coming up in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and this and that, and you speak to somebody, they spoke back to you as well. Well, right. I come out in a world that's not even doing that anymore. You know, it's like you speak. Why are you speaking to me? Most people don't speak back. So you don't have that friendliness that you had. So that was different for me. Now, as far as working and things like that, it was never hard for me. It wasn't hard for me to find a job, you know, which of course I was helped by the transitional center. But even once I left the TC and went home, it wasn't difficult for me to go ahead and start getting into opening my own businesses and things like that, and looking into work that I really felt that I enjoyed doing instead of just making a paycheck to paycheck. So that part really wasn't hard. The hardest part for me was just, like I said, communicating, understanding what's really going on around me and things like that. But I guess I was just really, really blessed because my transition just was not as hard as it, you know, maybe should have been for somebody who served 31 years in the system. But I think that all comes from just being, you know, preparation before I even got there, you know, got to this point. But that was just the hardest thing, you know. It was easy for me to stay on track because it's one thing I do know. I wasn't going out hanging in the streets. You know, I wasn't going out running around, wasn't doing nothing I had no business doing. So my work ethic was like, work, come home. Communicate with family, come on, you know. And but it's still difficult to trust people. You get what I'm saying? It's really still really, it's kind of hard to really just trust people.
How long have you been in?
Since 2019.
2019.
Yeah, since 2019. September 2019 is when I was released from the TC. I went to the TC in November of 2018.
Okay.
And Barbara often has a question, and this is for you, Shanard, as you get ready to share. Was your transition difficult? She says, who was the best mentor or teacher for you about the things that have changed? Like now there are cell phones, for example. So while you were incarcerated and then you were transitioning to the outside, who was your best teacher? Or were you prepared for this technological advancement? And then when you got out, who was there to assist you?
Yes, I was prepared for it. I can't identify one specific person. I am thankful. I understand and recognize that I'm blessed because of the support team that I had awaiting my release. That the support team, the support that one has upon being released makes all the difference. Monetary assistance definitely makes a difference. But even if you don't have any money, if someone is not giving you money, the support, the accountability that you have to those who are believing in you to make the right decision, those who are talking to you, want to hear you, who can point you in the right direction. So they may not have money to give you, but they have resources. They know friends. It's a network of people connected to one person. And if you have 5 people, then you have a network of people connected to 5 different people. And it's the support system that made all the difference. One thing about technology and the advancement of technology, which a lot of technology took place during my time of incarceration, as well as you all's time of incarceration. I had a friend of mine who had been arrested 6 months prior to me being arrested, and he did 10 years, and so he got out 16 years before I was released. And I asked him a question because I called him soon after his release, and he was at the computer. And one of the questions that I asked him, and he helped me, he gave me a simple understanding for me not to be intimidated with technology. I asked him how was he doing with interacting with the computer. But prior to my incarceration, a computer was not in every home. It was not in every 1 out of 5 homes. Computers were rare in someone's home, especially in the urban community. And so that was a question that I wanted to know. But he assured me with a simple answer And he simply said that because I know how to read, and in my knowing how to read, that's all you have to do. The computer will show you what to do. All you have to do is follow simple steps. And he went further in saying the difference between me learning how to navigate through the computer and someone who's savvy with it. The savvy person knows how to go through all the shortcuts, where I would just have to go step by step, and because it's new to me. And with that understanding, because I knew that I could read and I can comprehend, I didn't have any problem with embracing technology. Now that I still ask people for advice to show me things. Even today, we just had minor technical difficulties, and I told Miko I didn't know how to do it because I only just got a laptop only recently. And so let me say to you all right now, to the listening audience, after doing 310 months, if I had stayed incarcerated 2 more months, this month of January, I would have been incarcerated a total of 26 years. I've only been released as of today, 81 days. After 25 plus years, too much from being 26 years in prison. It has been good. It has been awesome. Any descriptive word, exciting word, any word that has color that matches being released, I'm telling you that's what it is.
That's right.
I love that.
That's right.
Any very descriptive word that you can find, that's what it is.
Fresh start. That's why we named this this podcast tonight. Fresh start is because that's what both of you have, a fresh start. Ellis says prison gives you time to do things that you've never done before in the free world, like read books or get to know God or become an attentive parent and to be a better friend, or also to educate yourself. Tell us a little bit about what both of you are doing right now. For example, I'll let Marie start off, because the thing that we all have in common, the common denominator on this screen tonight, is that all of us are returning citizens. And so Marie can share just briefly. Marie, let them know now, what are you doing? What things are you doing, whether it's organizational or relational? What are you doing right now that they can be inspired by?
Well, I'm with. How y'all doing again, guys?
All right.
Me and Julius, but I call him Miko. We have an organization by the name of OAA. I'm a part of that, which stands for Offender Alumni Association. And then me and Miko is also a part of Incarceration to Incorporate. And I love this because the 3 E's that we have, we come to educate, empower, and encourage one another. And none of us can do this alone. It is so good when you have somebody who can help you, to encourage you, to give you kind words, to give you resources. We love giving resources and help to jobs, helping people find housing. So it is really good. I work, I'm a mother. And I'm not trying to ever go that route again. I have not did the amount of time that you and Shanard and Julius have done. And God knows I don't ever want to even do that. I don't even want to think about fathom doing that. You understand? But I am so glad that you are home, Shanard. You say he just been home 80 days, and I'm glad you are home. Being welcome home, guys. That just get into like you say, get into the mindset of doing something different. Because if you do something different, you will not return to prison.
Yes.
If you have that same mindset and do the same things, that's when it will be a revolving door. So, yeah.
So with that being said, Ben, I want you not. It sounds like somebody's knees are knocking under the table. So if you're nervous, just calm down. But I want you, Ben, to tell us, what are you doing right now that has, or that is, or that will change the narrative that returning citizens automatically go right back to prison? What are you doing to change that narrative right now?
What I'm doing right now at this particular moment, I'm launching Men of Penitence, which is a motivational activist and a life assistant for youth people, the youth that a lot of people that can't reach. So that's what I'm doing at this particular moment. But I make my income by being representative for air purification system for Purity by Nature. So what I do, I go out and sell air purification systems into the homes of people these days, which is very important these days with what we're dealing with. So when I'm not doing that, I'm also writing the Men of Penitence Manual, which I also hope to promote into the system where they can use it as a program and help redesign some of the programs that assisted me when I was in the system, but given in a way to where guys like myself, if I didn't just go get it, it could be given to them from a system from our standpoint. Because we all know, we are all well aware that most systems are not going to think the way that we think. Most systems are not going to be able to reach the people that we can reach because they hadn't had the experiences that we have had. So what I'm doing now is I spend most of my time doing that on the side. When I'm not working, just working, building that platform, getting involved with people like yourselves, all of us that's on here now. And, just getting in the fight, just getting in the fight, because a lot of times I look back and realize if I had somebody fight for me when I was 16 and 17 years old, running around out there, things probably could have went a whole lot differently. So there are some people out there that was like I was then, now. They're out there now. And I want to reach them because I don't think every individual should have to have the same pace in life. Our pace is, if we don't allow somebody to understand and they can do their own pace in life, then they'll be following the same pace as everybody else. That's what I was doing when I was coming up. Before I started getting myself together, when I was in that situation, if I didn't build my own pace, I would have been doing the same thing. Right. But that's what I do. I stay with family, get my gospel on. I still read, study, still get my Psalms on. I still pray my Psalms. I still, and I just try to be honest and real with everybody that I come in contact with.
But what I like what he said, Miko? I like what he said, that he reached back. You're reaching back like to the youth. I love that. Mm-hmm. And now you say pace, but not having them go the same route that you went. You say if you had somebody to fight for you when you were 16 and 17 years old to show you a different way, you would have probably went that way. So the youth now, Ben, and they really do need you because they're in games and they're doing all sorts of things. So I think that you will be a great mentor to help them.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and that's what I'm investing my time in.
Very good.
You tell us, Shanard. Tell us. I know you've been out 81 days, but what are you doing now that is or will or has changed the narrative? And also, one other question: how are you, or what are you doing to remember those that you left?
Yes. So it's very humbling. It's very humbling just the thought of your question, Miko. In this time and space that I have, with this opportunity that I have to start from where I'm from, start from where I am. I decided I too, like Ben, was in the transitional center. Mm-hmm. So that means I was employed. I was employed with a company that in less than 40 days, I received a promotion upon being hired. In less than 40 days, in less than maybe 90 days, and I never thought of the amount of time, but in less than 90 days, I was promoted a second time, and I was given hope that because of my work ethic, I was given hope from the plant manager, and there was no higher person that had a position than the plant manager, was given hope that if I stayed with the company, that his goal was to have me working from my shoulders up. I had never heard it framed like that before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the company that I was working for was very labor intense. It was hard work. I'm a 47-year-old man. I ain't a jitterbug no more. But I am by the grace of God. But I am by the grace of God in good health and good strength. But it was challenging. And though I worked out regularly and sometimes rigorously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having to work 8 to 10 hours a day was a different than me working 2 hours, working out 2 hours, right?
Right.
And I felt it in my body. I felt it in my wrist. I felt it in my lower back. I felt it in my ankles. I felt it. And but it was rewarding. It was rewarding. I was thankful every day and every opportunity that I was allowed to go to work, because I had been in prison. I told you, after my 10th year, I began working. We don't refer to it as work, because work entails a W-2 form, right? We getting paid. Georgia Department of Corrections don't pay you.
Exactly.
That's right. So I never say that I worked in prison. I had a detail.
Exactly.
But so to finally have the opportunity to work and be compensated for my work, it was rewarding. It felt good to be able to go out every day and work. And it also allowed me to be able to save money. We still had to pay for housing. We still had to pay for room and board. We still had to pay for transportation, but it didn't compare to out here and the cost of living out here, right? And it was not from the beginning of me being in the work release. And so with a life sentence, even being in the transition center, the question mark still defines your future. You still never know exactly when you're going to get out until they tell you. You don't know until they tell you. You're being in the transition center, then you still don't know. You're just more hopeful than you were when you were incarcerated, when you were in prison.
Right.
And, I want to say to you all, when I finally got that date, I want to say this. You didn't ask this question, but Miko, I believe I was more excited about finally having a date than I was when I was actually released. Because I spent all of those years not knowing when I would be released. And so finally getting a date, I want to say, and it's not what I want to say, I know in this moment, it felt better than the day that they actually released me.
Wow.
Yeah, because I spent all of those years not ever knowing, a question mark defining my future, not ever knowing when I would be released. And they gave me the date 14 days prior to my release. Mm-hmm. So I felt better getting that date than the day that I was released. But when I got that date, that day, 14 days before my release, I had already been praying, of course, had a relationship with God, and I requested from the company to have a 45-day leave of absence. They said that was unheard of. Nobody ever asked for a 45-day leave of absence. And so now this particular company, they work hand in hand with the transition center. So they get guys in there all the time who get out and request to be off, but the typical person only asks to be off a week, maybe 2. And they don't, he told me, the plant manager told me they don't even honor 2 weeks out. So that wasn't discouraging to me, because I knew what I needed in my heart, right? And I'm gonna tell you, I really wanted at 60 days, but I thought I was stretching it.
You've been looking for another one.
I thought I was stretching it. I thought I was stretching it by asking for 60, so I just asked for 45. And so I put in the email, I requested it, and they didn't honor it, but they did honor it for 30 days. And they said that was unheard of. And it was nothing but the favor of God, right?
Right.
But they understood, because, listen, I've been gone all of my adulthood. None of my adulthood was spent outside of prison. And if you know me, you don't have to know me just for me to say that. How in the world you can't understand that it's some things that I just need to do, right? I need some time to do them. I have been regulated. I have been governed by the system for all of these years. And I don't need to get out and think about what all can be done within a week. You all have been free long enough. It's not a whole lot you can do within a month. more or less a week and just freshly being released, right?
Right.
And so it's family that I need to become reacquainted with. There's family that I have never met that I need to become acquainted with, right?
Right.
Not, along with other needed formalities, driver's license, social security. If you're gonna file for welfare or what it is, food stamps, or whatever it is that you need to do. There's many things that you do. So my request was not unreasonable based on what I know I needed to do. And so it was not discouraging, right? But I tell you, in that time, I was indecisive about what I'm about to tell you, but I was already toying with the idea. But in that time, I was indecisive, but I made up my mind. So before those 30 days was up, because the company was good to me, right? And I thank God for them, even in this moment, for the opportunities that they afforded to me. 2 days before those 30 days was up, I drove 50 minutes from where I live. I'm from Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. I drove 50 minutes to the job, dressed like I was told when I pulled up on the company that I looked like a college student or a professor. I drove to the company to tell them thank you, but I would no longer be working here anymore.
Wow.
I made a decision because at 47 years old, after doing so much time, that I had a unique situation. I don't have any children. I don't have any dependents at all. And that my canvas was blank. And because my canvas was blank, I was going to paint my canvas the way that I wanted to paint it. And it wasn't going to be involved in no back-breaking labor.
I love that.
I determined that I was going to do the things that were geared toward my definite purpose.
Which are?
What God wanted for me. God wanted me to do. I determined that. And so I already knew what I wanted, the things that I wanted to study, the things that would help put me in a better position to be able to earn money, to be able to earn money, and to be able to not have to spend 10 hours a day and go to school. So there are many mothers, many women especially get so much praise for being a full-time mom because you can't take off. It's not a part-time job, right? Right. Being a full-time mom, working full-time, and going to school, right?
Right.
Many women get praises for it, but men do it too. But so I knew it was doable, but why do that? Why take myself through all that strain when having to work 10 hours and then try to go to school and try to retain information when I know that I'm an early riser, that I retain information better in the morning. So I'm gonna do it my way. I decided to forge my own path. And I decided not to do it the traditional way.
I think, Shanard, that you wanted to choose your own path because you had somebody for so long choosing it for you when you was incarcerated.
Yes.
And you wanted to not be on that systematic schedule as they had you on for so long. And I think that your canvas can be very beautiful if you paint it the way you want to paint it for yourself. So if you are in school and you get your education and whatever job that you want, whatever career you want to be an entrepreneur, I think that you're going to do a brilliant job because you paint it your way.
Yes. And so I know we don't have all night, and I want to share this with you real quick, Marie and Miko. Today, the reason why I'm doing this interview inside this vehicle is because I spent a better part of 4 hours incorporating my business today. Right now, I am a certified home inspector. Wow. Right now, the name of my company is Axiom. You can Google it because I just created the company today, so you can Google it.
Come on now.
The name of my company is Axiom Chance Home Inspectors. And that's what I am. I'm a certified home inspector. I graduate next week.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes, and the process took a whole lot longer than I thought it would take. So, and I was determined because if I give somebody my word, I want to honor my word. And so I hadn't eaten anything all day because I was bogged down with that, and somebody was helping me. And so I was based on their time and them helping me to do it. But yes, In my forging my own path, I decided to do it the non-traditional way. And I can say to you, I give all glory to God that I have the drive, that I wasn't afraid to quit a job, because it's job security. It's security in a job, right? And having a job. But that's what allowed me to be able to save money. I have nothing but the glory of God. Miko, you got to call me because I got to show you my view.
Yes, sir.
From my own spot. My spot is my condo.
Okay.
Not apartment.
Come on
and
now.
I say this just because it's all that God has allowed. But I have my own place. I don't stay with anybody. You know, it feels good waking up every day to be able to, you know, just to be at peace and not hear the noise of somebody else. Right? Yeah, man. It's a blessing. So, you know, I'm gonna be quiet.
Brett says,
Congrats.
Congratulations. Brett said, congratulations. Congrats. Barbara often, she says, congratulations and good luck. And Francine Gain is also watching, and they are congratulating the both of you for where you are right now, this fresh start in your life. And as we get ready to turn the corner, I want us, because we got an audience that we are speaking to. Our realities are not the same. And we say this so often. My reality was not the same as many others. When I came home after doing 26 years, I had family. I had gainful employment. I had faith-based community. I had all those things that I needed to help my transition be a smooth and a successful one. But some people don't have that. Some people don't have that financial wherewithal to be able to do what you have done, Shanard, and some people don't have that fortitude and diligence that you have been to be able to maintain where you are. And of course, Marie as well. Some people don't have that trust and that drive to make it as we have made it. But what I want you to do, I want you in these last couple of minutes to be able to talk to, you heard what Marie said, we encourage, we educate, and we empower. Well, you have different audiences, target audiences. You have those that are in prison and in jail. You have those that are community that don't know anything about the life and the struggles that we or they may have had. And then you have returning citizens who have come home like we have, but are not doing so well, and they are in need of encouragement. I'll let you choose who you're going to speak to, but I want you both to speak right now words of encouragement and empowerment to those that are listening. And you can tell the audience that you're speaking to as well. So, Ben, you go first.
Well, first and foremost, I want to apologize real quick. I get the little side cramps every now and then, so I have to get out of the screen and you know, stretch them out sometime when you sit still and it's kind of cold out here. But I mean, I think my audience really is everybody. You know, if you living, hey, and I think I'm everybody's audience. I'm a part of everybody else's audience because I'm still living. You know, for me, I created a motto when I was running the Faith and Character-Based program at Johnson. And my motto was, I come out of the cell and I say every day, the whole dorm say, get better. And that's what it is. As long as you can, success to me is measured by the day before. And I learned that some time ago. So if it's hard for you today, think about what you went through today and know how different you want it to be tomorrow. You may not have your final result or your initial final outcome, but you can move closer to wherever it is you're trying to be. And I hear a lot of people say, I want to become this. I want to become that. Just be. Just be. The moment you get up and tell yourself, just be, that I am already who I wanted to become, you're already that person. You know, so it doesn't matter what kind of struggle you're going in life. If you just make that step that today and say, look, today I'm gonna do this different. So tomorrow I won't have to worry about this anymore. You know, if you're a young kid and you're struggling out there and you have nobody to talk to, find somebody that you respect that you can pull over and ask them a couple of questions.
Right.
You know, that's how I feel. And I don't want, the reason I cut it there because I don't want to take up too much time, and also I don't want to start this cramp back there because you talk from your diaphragm, so you know how that goes. But I mean, I just encourage, everybody, whatever you're going through. If you say, look, this is what I'm having a struggle with today, I'm not gonna have that struggle with this tomorrow, and just make that a mental and conscious note that when you get up the next day, I'm not gonna have that struggle that I had yesterday.
Gotcha. Shanard.
Yes. There are many things that come to mind at this moment that could be expressed. But it's one thing that stands out in my mind right now that I think that anybody can relate to or can understand. About a week ago and about 2 weeks before that, two words kept coming to mind. And finally, about a week ago, I just took the time to write them down, the 2 words, on a piece of notebook paper. And I wrote it in turned the paper as long as you could, in the longest form that you could turn it, and wrote it. And I didn't even have any tape, but I tore a piece of tape off an Amazon package and taped it on my refrigerator. And those 2 words are be productive.
Mm.
And so no matter what we encounter in life, no matter how smooth it is, no matter how difficult it may be, I never said this. Ben said it. I said it in different words. But you have to, if you don't have the mentality, you need to adopt the mentality. If you don't have faith, you need to have faith. But you need to always believe that it's going to get better, no matter how bad it is. And in your believing that it's going to get better, you need to be productive, be proactive about it. You need to be proactive. You need to be proactive about making change for yourself. Don't sit around waiting on anybody else. Like whatever it is that you can do all that you can do. And as the scripture says, stand. Right? We need to, and so whoever is out there, whoever needs to hear something, like if it's nothing but maintaining contact with people who got what you want, resources. Take the time to email them, because that's what makes the difference. Like I said, the monetary things make a difference. We need money in this world, but it's resources. There are people in my life who weren't able to give me money, but they were able to give me a house to stay in. They were able to let me wash my clothes at their house, right? They were able to point me in the direction of a center where you can learn how to get computer skills, right? And so if you need to be proactive, if nothing else, and I feel like I'm speaking to somebody, if nothing else, contact the people who you know that care about you. Like, take the time to message them. Don't worry about how often they message you. Well, I hit them and they ain't hit me back. No, you need to stay on their mind. Be proactive about it.
That's right.
And I think and however that applies, apply where may. However that applies to anybody's ears, even to you, Miko, even to you, Marie, even to you, Ben. Be proactive. Don't be procrastinating. Don't be putting things off. Go ahead and do it. Make it happen. Do all that you can do. And as the scripture says, the scripture doesn't say do all you, but the scripture says, and then stand. Be still. Yeah, be still. But do all that you can do and feel good about that.
Right.
Awesome. Brett gives you a high five and is clapping his hand for you. Brothers, I appreciate you. Marie, what do you want to share, Marie, before we get ready to close out towards these 2 gentlemen?
I just want to say, guys, welcome home again. Even though, Ben, you've been home for a while, welcome home. Welcome home, Shania. You're doing an awesome job. Congratulations on your business. Congratulations.
All glory to God.
I love the fact that you give him the glory because he deserves it. And just congratulations to you guys. And Ben, continue being a mentor for the youth because they really, really need it. And so, Miko, always thank you. You're my co-host. I'm your co-host, and I love it. And you guys just have a good night.
Before
You
we
too,
go, I
man.
just want to
Thank
thank
you
both
so
of you.
much.
Thank you, Josh, for coming on, because as we always love to say, we may have started out wrong, but look at us now. We are
That's
finishing
right.
strong. And so I want you,
That's right.
those of you that are listening, I want you to know that we appreciate you. Go and tell others that the narrative is changing,
Yes,
that the
it is.
story is changing. Men and women who are coming home are successful. They are doing well. They
That's
are
right.
positive and productive. And those that are on the inside, there are many more Bens, many more Shanards, many more Maries, and many more Juliuses that are
That's
ready
right.
for an opportunity, that have been preparing progressively for the platform that we are now having, and we're going to give to them when they come home. Those of you that are still on the inside, hold on, for your
That's right.
opportunity is coming also. We thank you, and we thank you for coming and joining us on another edition of Incarceration to Incorporation. We love you, and we see you next Friday. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night. Thank you for having us. Good night.
All right. Thank you for having good seeing you, Ben.
No problem.
Same here, brother.